So for this video, the measurements I'm making use of are here. Okay, I hope you can see that. So I have the shoulder, the bust, the under bust, the waist, shoulder to bust line. Okay, these three are my circumferences. Okay, this is also a width. These now are the lengths. Okay, so bust circumference, under bust circumference, waist circumference. Okay, then we now have the length: shoulder to bust length, shoulder to under bust length, shoulder to front waistline length. Okay, then shoulder to back waistline length also. Then we have the armhole length. So I abbreviated all this. As you can see, I've been able to explain that to you. Okay, so the armhole length, I use this formula: the bust circumference divided by 6, then you add 1.5 inches to it. So I approximated my figure to 7.5. I got 7.8 inches. So I wanted a little fitted something. Okay, so I reduced it by quarter to 7.5. Supposed to be 7.75 of an inch. Okay, so we begin. So the first thing you want to do is to put in all these lengths that you've gotten, the length, so that you will know where your points are. So as the body is, we're trying to bring back the body on a paper. That's what we're doing on this drafting. So that's why it's called the basic. Let me use a bigger pen so you can see. It's okay. Let me work with these parts. Let me work. Okay. Okay, right now I've drawn my margin. I'll just go straight to the point. So the first thing I usually mark is my shoulder width. Okay, so I'm going to mark my shoulder width of, okay, I have my measurements here, 7.5 inches. So 7.5 inches, you take note of the point. All right, we're going somewhere here. So I'm starting from the uppermost part of my body, which is the shoulder. Okay, so when you watch your shoulder line, you realize that there is a slope. Your shoulder is not straight. It curves down. It slopes down. So we're going to apply that slope here. So I have succeeded in taking down my measurement. Now, after I do this slope, the next point I'll look is for my armhole length. Okay, the armhole length is the last one here. Applying this formula, you should get your own figure. Okay, you can reduce by a quarter or add a quarter to it, just to your own preference. Depends on how you want the dress to fit on you. Okay, so from this 1 inch, I will look for my 7.5 inches, and this is the point. Okay, right? Then you go back to the shoulder point to look for other areas. All right. Okay, so I've gone back to my shoulder line. You're going to look for other points now, which are the shoulder to the bust point, my shoulder to my under bust point, okay, and my shoulder to my waistline. So to have a straight line, I'm going to transfer all these lines to somewhere around this point so that I can have a squared up line. So I am going to transfer all this down here except this shoulder drop. Okay, there is no representative of it at the center front. Yes, this is my center front. So I've taken note of that. I'm going to bring it to this point. It's 10, 14, 17. So with the help of my ruler or your curve, something straight anyway, I'm going to create a squared up line. Okay, that seems to be failing me. Let's try another one. Okay. So I've squared up the line. So the next thing, after putting in your points, okay, your vertical points, I'll come and take in my neck. Okay, I want to have a round neck. So it depends on the kind of neck you want to have. So I'm going to come down by 3 inches. Okay, come down by 3 inches. You also go out by 3 inches. This is just the basics. Depends on what you want to do. Okay, so remember, 3 inches down. Okay, I'm going to square that up. Then I'm going to use my curve to connect. I'm going to connect this point here. So after connecting the point, I'm going to connect my shoulder drop, remember my shoulder drop, to the end of my neckline. Okay, so when you're done with the neck area, we're going to bring down our shoulder measurement. Okay, I have 7.5 as my shoulder measurement. I'm going to bring it down on my, remember this line, right? This is our armhole line, or you can call it your upper chest line. Okay, I'm going to bring down this measurement and I'll square this up with my pen. So I just need a light rule here. So after doing that, I'll look for the midpoint of this. You know what we're trying to do? We're trying to create a curve. Remember the armhole, check your body right now. Yes, check your body right now. You realize that your arm, from your upper hand down to where your armhole is, it's not a straight line. Okay, so you are going to create a curve for it. That's what I'm doing here. That's what I'm doing right now. So I have divided the line that I have for this armhole length have been divided, and I have my midpoint now. So I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch in order to be able to create that curve. Okay, so I'll come in by 1/2 inch. Okay, I'll take note of that and I'll drop it. Then I'll come to my chest line again, as this chest line. We're going to look for our bust circumference divided by 4. Yes, divided by 4, because we are working with just 1/4 of our total measurement. This is just 1/4 of the total measurement that you're working with. So everything you're going to do that has the circumference, especially your bust circumference, under bust circumference, your waist circumference, even your hip, if you're drafting a skirt or a gown, it has to be in quarter. So you divide by 4. So 38 divided by 4 is going to give you 9.5 inches. I am going to confirm that if I am right. Yes, I am right. So I'm going to mark that down here. Okay, so 9.5, right? Now this 9.5 inches, I'm going to make sure that this square I'm working with is that amount. So therefore I will extend all my lines by that figure, 9.5, and I'm going to square it up. There's a reason I'm doing this. I'm doing this because whatever will be left from this after taking in my waist measurement is what will become my dart. Yes, it will become my dart for a perfect fitting. Okay, so right now you can see we are heading somewhere. We are having a shape already. Okay, so I've gotten this line quite all right, but I've not curved my armhole because this cannot be like this. No, it cannot. So this is what you're going to do. If you have a curve ruler like I do, you can do exactly what I'm doing. You're going to connect 1, 2, 3. These 3 points, you connect them together with a curve. So if you don't have a curve ruler like I do, you can use a free hand. You can do free hand for this. Okay, so you see we have succeeded in creating a curve for the armhole and curve at our neckline. Now you can cut out this bodice like this at this point and use it to make a free top. Yes, a squared top, a top that you want it to stay free on you. You don't want it to fit to your body. You don't want that silhouette kind of fitting. Okay, you can just cut out the pattern at this stage, add your seam allowances, and you're good to go. But that's not where we're going to stop. Okay, we still have a long way to go. Okay, sorry, I'm just joking. The way is not long anymore. Okay, remember our lines. You know, I didn't label these lines. I'm just going to quickly do that, so I won't keep repeating their names. Welcome back. So I'm done labeling. This is the shoulder line, armhole line, bust line, under bust line, and waistline. Okay, so at this point I'm going to put in the curvature required to give us the fitting for the dress. So to do that, what would you do first? Your bust measurement, that the bust circumference, you are going to divided by 10 inches. Okay, dividing mine by 10 is 3.8. That's my bust span here. Bust span. Okay, the bust span is the distance between your apex, that's the fullest part of the bust, the distance between the two of it. So that distance is where your dart should fall in. So that's why we always look for the bust span. So if you prefer, you can measure the person apex to apex, that's the nipple to nipple, to get their bust span distance. Okay, mine is 3.8. I'm going to approximate that to 4 inches. Okay, so I'm marking at 0.4 right now from my armhole line down to my waistline. So I'm going to connect this point right now. Okay, so I've connected lines. So at this point is where my dart should fall in. So let's let that aside. Okay, just keep it aside. Okay, let's put in these measurements, our circumference measurements. Remember, we already did our bust measurements here. Of course, the bust measurement we did at that point is the same thing with the one that will go in at the bust line also, which is 9.5. Okay, so basically they will be the same thing. The armhole line and the bust line takes the bust measurements. Okay, except for cases where you want to do the upper bust tightening, that's where that case comes in. But if it's a dress that has a shoulder line that attached to the dress, okay, you don't need to do that. Okay, so now we are going to impute our waist under bust measurement rather. Okay, our under bust measurement. So what's our under bust measurement? It is 31. So I'm going to divide 31. Yeah, is allowed. You can have a calculator. 31 divided by 4. Remember, we're working with quarter. I have 7 3/4. Okay, I am going to mark that here. 7 3/4. That's almost, I'm almost marking at 8 inches. So this is 7 3/4 here. And what's the next measurement I'm going to put in? My waistline measurement. So my waistline is, my waist circumference is 33 divided by 4. I have 8 1/4. That's 8.25 is 1/4. 8 1/4. So on the waistline, I'm going to mark that amount. So 8 and 1/4. Now to take in your dart for the waist, okay, for the waist, I'm going to measure whatever I have left here. Whatever I have left here. I have 1 1/4 of an inch. 1 1/4 of an inch. So I am going to divide that measurement. I'm going to divide that measurement. Okay, I'm going to divide that. So I'll put half of it to the left and put half of it to the right. Okay, so if I divided that accurately, then it should be equal. Okay, now you're going to go all the way to 1 inch below your bust point. So you can still come down by ½ inch if you have a smaller bust circumference, or 3/4 of an inch, or 1 inch. Okay, so I'll just come down by 1 inch. All right, then I'll connect that measurement to create my dart. Okay, see that now? We've brought in this excess into the dart, into the bust span area to create fullness at the upper part of our dress. Now you'll be wondering, what about the under bust line? So if you want to make a bustier, okay, or you still want a curvature, it's not mostly the bustier, I still want that curvature here, right now and now, then you're still going to do the same thing, okay? I'm going to do the same thing. So whatever measurement I have here, right now I'm having what? I'm having 1 3/4. 1 3/4. I'm going to divide that, okay? You're going to divide that. Then come in, okay? This is just a basic, okay? Basic. I said basic. Remember, disregard the waist darts that are connected to the bust line. You know why? I don't mean you should disregard it entirely. I'm saying on this line, don't let it not confuse you. Okay, just put the center point on the bust span line, okay? Then mark to the left and mark to the right. Then you're going to reconnect this like in a curve form. You reconnect this in a curve form. All right, this is it. I will connect this. I'm still going to connect at this point also. So make sure you're getting this. Okay. Then you're going to connect back to your waistline. Okay. You're going to connect back to your waistline. Okay, so I'm going to create a curve here. Okay, don't mind that background music. I live close to a bar. I stay close to a bar, so that's why you're hearing this music. Now, if I want to make a basic dress, just simple, just with a little curvature and so on and so forth, I will make use of just this first dart connecting from the waistline to 1 inch below the bust line, okay? But if you want something that will fit perfectly, that would, you know, bring out the shape of your bust from the under bust down to your waistline, then you can consider doing this. Then this dart intake, the whole of it that I've done, you can also apply it to create a princess seam to the armhole or princess seam to your shoulder. You can also apply it in other forms of making a dress, like a corset and the rest, okay? So from the look of things, we have succeeded in taking the excess we have here and making a dart with it. Therefore, that's it. That's all. Nothing else. You just cut. Okay? So you will be like, so I won't shape the side? Nothing. No, nothing, my dear. The only thing that would make you shape the side is if you are not going to make use of this under bust dart. Okay? If you want to make use of just the waistline dart connecting straight to the bust line. So if that's what you want to make use of, then definitely you are going to put your waist measurement, your under bust measurement rather, which is 7 3/4, and you are going to add whatever that was taken here. Whatever that was taken, I have about 5/8 of an inch here. Okay, so about 5/8 of an inch was taken with the waist dart connecting straight here. So you will represent that, or replace that rather. You replace that here, then replace this dart here also, which we've already done. Then you connect down to that point. So if for example, at the end of the day, you want to have a fitted dress, but not the one that will protrude your bust area, then you can work with this line. Okay, you're still going to have a curve, so you connect to the bust line and straight up. I just hope I'm making sense. So, but if you want to make use of this to tighten the under of your bust area, then you need to take this in, cut off the darts, and work with what you have. So before we do the cutting, we are still going to tighten our bust. I'm just joking. We're not tightening any bust. We are going to still take in our dart. Remember, the front length of our waist is longer than the back length of our waist. Okay, so therefore, on my bust line, I'm going to come down by that difference. Yes, for me, the difference is 2 inches. My front waistline is 17 inches and my back waistline is 15 inches. Therefore, 17 minus 15 will give you 2 inches. So I'm going to mark 2 inches away from my bust line. Now for the bust dart, all you have to do is come down by 2 inches for me. So whatever your own difference is, that's what you're going to come down by. So I'm going to come down by 2 inches. Okay, then I'll connect this line straight to the bust line, or I can come out by ½ inch or 1 inch also and do my markings. Okay, I can come out by 1 inch at the bust line and do my markings. Okay, so there's also another way to do the bust dart. You can decide to come down by 1 inch, which I marked here. Then after your 1 inch, you come down by what? Your difference between the difference of your front length and your back length. So for me, I am just going to, I can decide to do any one. You can decide to go by 1 inch or by ½ inch, or not. Don't go in by anything at all. But if you want to touch your apex, anytime you're drafting and you want to touch the apex, make sure you want to cut through. Okay, if you're cutting through, like you're making a princess seam, or you're making a bustier that you need to separate the pieces, okay, then at that point you will need to touch your apex. So for this one, I am not cutting through, so I'll just go away by 1 inch or so. Then I'm going to connect this all the way up. So this is the midpoint. I'll do the connection also. Okay, when you're doing your own markings, don't use a marker, use a pencil, because I am showing you guys this. That's why I'm using my marker. So we will be eliminating these darts and this dart. Okay, now because it's a basic, I will be working with just the waist line darts. I won't apply my under bust darts. I just showed you this in case. But if you still want to apply your under bust darts, that means you have to be careful when stitching that inside. Okay, so I'm done with the front.